7 hours after headlines today broke the big IPL controversy, the Enforcement Directorate has stepped in and taken note of our expose. The ED has decided to inquire into the CSK for 5 lakh story. The Enforcement Directorate will be examining various documents of the BCCI and the IPL and other franchisees to check the 5% of sale issue. The Enforcement Directorate office in Mumbai has saw details from headlines today in the valuation of Chennai Super Kings. The straight up headlines today impact with our exclusive report now being taken up by investigating agencies.
2011 they last won the IPL. It's been 3 years.
Let's get a word from Boria Majumdar, India Today's consulting editor sports, and Rasesh Mandani, who's with us live from Mumbai. Rasesh, I want to come to you first. A huge impact. The ED office in Mumbai has now saw details from headlines today.
Yes, and this is something that we've been saying all along, Simi, that the BCCI function is under a scanner. There's a Supreme Court appointed inquiry which is going on, which is investigating the BCCI constitution, and if any changes are necessary. The CSK as well is also within the ambit of the investigation, and so it's not surprising that the investigating agencies are keeping a close watch. This is clearly a case of a franchisee possibly undervaluing their amount in the sale proceeds. BCCI losing out on money on that front. One understands from our sources within the ED that this at point time remains an discreet inquiry. This isn't exactly an official inquiry, but they've taken note of our report, the story through the day, and they're planning to check with the BCCI on the specific rule of the 5% of the proceeds going to the BCCI, whether this is in case of any change in shareholding pattern of the franchise, or whether it is in case of a sale of the team to another entity. So they're looking at the finer details. They're also looking to seek the franchisee agreements that the BCCI signs with various IPL franchisees as well. So these are the finer details that the ED is looking at. All along, one of the objectives of Enforcement Directorate to see if there is any tax evasion possibility. So those are the issues that the ED investigates. And in this case, in the curious case of CSK valuing itself to as little as 5 lakh rupees, the ED thinks it's worthwhile to investigate.
Absolutely. The Enforcement Directorate clearly seeing this as a case of financial fraud. Let's get a word from Boria Majumdar as well, who's with us live this afternoon. Boria, explain to us the figures and the money involved, and how is it that all these irregularities took place?
It's very interesting, Simi. I mean, if you look at market valuations are made of 2 parts. One is the brand value and second is the business value, as Kapil had explained to us in one of our earlier shows. According to this US firm estimate, Chennai Super Kings market value, brand value at this point in time is 450 crores. Now, market value or business brand value is about 40% of the business value. So, ideally, Chennai Super Kings should be valued at 1,000 crores. Simple. Now, of the 1,000 crores, according to the board's rules, 5% of that money will be paid to the BCCI in case of any transfer or sale. So in this case, 50 crores ought to have been paid to the BCCI by Chennai Super Kings or India Cements. What was done was 25,000 rupees is what is being paid to the BCCI if the brand value, if the figure is being pegged at 5 lakh rupees. So the BCCI stands to lose approximately 50 crores, which is why Jyotiraditya Scindia, Ajay Shirke and a number of other members raised the alarm in the IPL Governing Council. As a result of this story, you've already heard Anurag Thakur, Rajiv Shukla, Niranjan Shah, all these members saying the matter will now be debated and discussed at the working committee on Sunday. Question is, will there be action? Will there be investigation? Will somebody be pulled up? Clearly, under Supreme Court scanner, under ED scanner, the BCCI will be forced to act. Chennai Super Kings, the IPL CEO Sundar Raman, who's being investigated by the SC, will be forced to act and made accountable.
Right, Boria, as you're rightly telling us, there's immense scrutiny. The IPL entire tournament is under immense scrutiny. What would the ED investigation entail?
They will firstly, it's a discreet inquiry. They will find out if this 5% thing has been there from the start. Is it part of the BCCI's agreement with IPL franchises from the very start, i.e. from 2007? Now, if that is the case, they will figure out that if there has been any such transfers in the past, and if there has been transfers, has that money been deposited with the board, and what has happened with that kind of money? So this will now entail quite a detailed survey or investigation on the part of the Enforcement Directorate, because according to the board's rules, this has been there from day one. If you read the franchise agreement, it is stating in clear-cut terms that in case of a transfer or sale, 5% of the money will have to be given to the BCCI. So that's what the Enforcement Directorate will investigate and try and figure out if the money has changed hands, has that money been deposited, what has happened to that money trail.
Absolutely, a huge headlines today impact the Enforcement Directorate taking note of our investigation and ordering a discreet probe. Boria and Rasesh, stay on with us. We're also getting some more reactions to this expose. Let's take a look.
The big IPL controversy that we are getting you here on Headlines today is about the fact that the Chennai Super Kings has valued itself at 5 lakh rupees. That's it. That's the valuation of the Chennai Super Kings. It's a big controversy. The new IPL Governing Council refused to ratify this particular team sale specifics of Chennai Super Kings. Now, what exactly happened? The owners pegged the value of their team at a mere 5 lakh rupees. Now, according to the rules of the Board of Control for Cricket in India, the BCCI, 5% of this amount is supposed to go to the board. Now, 5% of 5 lakh rupees actually amounts to 25,000 rupees. Now, there is a clear case of the board losing if CSK were to be sold or sales transferred at its real value, stands to lose close to 25 to 30 crore rupees. It's a case of undervaluation where the Board of Control for Cricket in India is losing that much amount. But the bigger story, the other big story was that in the Governing Council meeting that was held of the BCCI, this particular ratification process was put on hold. It was not allowed to sail through. It was not allowed to go through.
It is a very ridiculous price quoted by CSK as a value, market value of the whole thing. I think with this price also it decreased the price of IPL also. Such a huge CSK brand and just in 5 lakhs. It is not in our common sense that how can it be happen. And I think the meeting which passed is on 27 and there was on 28 is the general body, and I don't think in general body we have ever discussed this thing.
The minutes of the meeting last time was not ratified, and it is being said that CSK shares valuation was so low that it was kind of taking the income away from the BCCI. So what do you have to say on that?
See, looking at the issue, the committee has decided, the IPL Governing Council has decided that the issue will be debated in the next upcoming working committee meeting on 26th.
The latest valuation that we have now is around $67 million. So it's down from last year, mainly on account of some of the controversies that CSK has been going through, which is kind of dampened in advertiser sentiment in the brand CSK. So that is now valued at around $67 million. So, and if you apply the current exchange rate, that's around 400 crores.
Right.
So that is just a portion of the business value, which is, and as per from our analysis and our studies, what we know and what we estimate is that brand value could be anywhere between 30 to 40% of your business value.
A huge headlines today impact. The Enforcement Directorate has taken note of our expose and is likely to probe the allegations. Let's get word from Virender Gunawat, who's with us on the phone line. Virender, the Enforcement Directorate to investigate whether or not the owners of Chennai Super Kings cheated the BCCI and the IPL Governing Council of crores of rupees.
No, definitely. In fact, the Enforcement Act, it's a shocking for even for the ED, because since they have been investigating IPL controversy and all the franchises, and they have never came across with this 5% of sale price issue. And now when the Headlines Today has broken the story, and in fact they had taken all the details from us with all those meeting papers, and they have said that now we will go through all these details of CSK. Not only that, they have widened the entire examination. They will check all the IPL. They need to check whether any other IPL franchises had also, given such proposal to BCCI, which had clear and any money has been transacted. And if that had been done, then that is another case to be investigated. So overall, now initially they will go into examination of CSK case, and further they will widen and check this entire 5% of sale prices in any other IPL franchisee as well. So because they suspect there could be crores of money might have been transacted, which the department and the authorities might not be aware about it.
Right. Virendra, stay on with us. Let's also go back to Rasesh Mandani, who's with us live from Mumbai. Rasesh, the ED will also look at why the old council did not question this price.
Well, I don't know if that is something that the ED would be interested in. I think for me, primarily what the Enforcement Directorate would be interested in knowing is if there are, like Viren was mentioning, in the past, if there has been instances where money as exchange has, if there has been any sale proceeds, they would also want to check if there is any change in shareholding pattern within a franchise. Even for that, if there is money that the franchises need to pay to the BCCI, then one would need to seek a little bit more clarity on that. In this case, of course, Chennai Super Kings India Cements wanting to shift Chennai Super Kings into a wholly owned subsidiary where the promoters of the company lose control and the remaining shareholders of the company happen to be.
All right, we'll try and reconnect with Rasesh in just a bit. Let's once again listen into reactions that we're getting from fans as far as this IPL controversy is concerned.
This is a decision that was taken by the previous governing council, and it came as a minutes item arising from the previous council. So my reaction and the reaction of a lot of other members was that the value of the team at 5 lakh rupees was a very grossly unfair value, and therefore we've asked the working committee to take the decision.
Look, this is a new IPL governing council, and they will look into the matter of CSK shares. It was discussed in the previous governing council that the shares of CSK will be transferred, and the matter was supposed to go to the working committee. So now, since the new IPL governing council has been constituted, they're looking into the matter, and definitely they will take the right decision, and probably they might refer it to the working committee.
The final decision has to be taken by the working committee. So matter has been referred to the working committee. Working committee will ponder over it on 26th of April.
Sir, is it true that CSK was grossly under-evaluated?
No. I told you the matter has been referred to the working committee. It has to be taken by the working committee. An earlier governing council headed by Mr. Ranjiv Biswal had approved the matter.
Okay.
Now it's in the domain of working committee. They will be deciding.
इस पर जांच क्यों नहीं हो रही? जांच क्यों नहीं हो रही है? आप कह रहे हैं ऑटोनोमस बॉडी है, लेकिन जब इसको लोग, आप हिंदुस्तान का नाम इस्तेमाल करते हैं, आप हिंदुस्तान का झंडा इस्तेमाल करते हैं, आप राष्ट्रगीत का आप इस्तेमाल करते हैं, आप इंडियन टीम के नाम से जाने जाते हैं, जब आप सब कुछ इंडिया के कराते हैं और उसके बाद बदनामी किसकी होती है? अगर क्रिकेट टीम की बदनामी या क्रिकेट की हिंदुस्तान में बदनामी होती है, इसका मतलब हिंदुस्तान की बदनामी होती है.
This is a big headlines today. Impact. The Enforcement Directorate has taken note of headlines today's investigation which exposed how the Chennai Super King teams was severely undervalued by the owners. Burya Majumdar, India Today's consulting editor sports, is with us live. Burya, tell me something. If the ED is now looking at whether or not that 5% fee is valid and whether the owners cheated the BCCI and the IPL Governing Council of money, and if the IPL Governing Council has also refused to accept the valuation and has not ratified the sale of the team, what happens to the team then?
No, nothing happens to the team. I mean, the fact of the matter is now what happens to this sale proceed? I mean, will this new subsidiary be formed? What will happen in the working committee? See me, now it's very simple. It will now go to the BCCI working committee in Calcutta on the 26th. They will have to take cognizance of this matter. Will they approve of this sale or this transfer? Yes or no? If they do approve of this transfer, obviously they won't. And if they won't, will they appoint an independent valuer? That is one side of the story. The other side of the story is, will they take cognizance of the fact that the previous governing council, Rajiv Shukla, very interesting, said there Ranjiv Biswal's governing council had approved it. Now, if they have approved it, is it a case of gross impropriety? If it is a case of impropriety, will action be taken? IPL CEO Sundar Raman, who has is party to these minutes, who has drafted these minutes and placed it before this governing council, will action be taken against him? Will he be asked to explain what his position is? Will he be made accountable? With the Supreme Court investigation on, make no mistake, the BCCI working committee will have to take very, very strong action on what has transpired.